Today, I want to talk to you about my own personal journey. If I've ever been heavy or obese, and if I know how hard it is to lose the weight. And it got me thinking, that's true. I've never told anybody about what I actually did with my life. That's what I'm going to do today. And I'll explain to you what I did and the results I got, and then why I've changed my views on things. But basically, remember, after I graduated high school, I went for the next 11 years, I went to college, and I graduated in 92, I guess 12 years. Graduated high school in 80, and then in 92 is when I finally started working as a pediatric pharmacist. During that time, that's a lot of college and that's a lot of eating junk when you don't really know what's going on. And yes, just like everyone else, my weight started going up and up. I probably started off around 100, and my good weight at that time was probably around 175 when I was feeling good. But after I started college and eating, my weight, the highest I actually saw it on the scale was 199, but that's because I quit standing on the scale. I know I got higher. I didn't want to admit it to myself. And I never did admit it to myself until I first started finding out about this thing. So one time I was at home, my wife went out to the grocery store, came home with a magazine talking about this new weight loss program called Body for Life. And so we read the magazine, we liked what we heard, we ordered the book immediately, we started doing Body for Life. And this was back in 1999, right around there. What you did on Body for Life, they had us eat 6 meals every single day. So you have to have 6 meals every day. You wait about 2, 3 hours in between meals. And then we had to work out 6 days a week. So we did a lift and then a run and then a lift or workout and then cardio, workout, cardio. And then one day a week, we didn't do any exercising. And so that was something where we did 3 cardios every week, and we did 3 muscle lifting resistance training 3 times a week, and then one day off. Then when we did eat, what we were supposed to do, they said a portion was the size of your hand or the palm of your fist. So we were supposed to have a portion of protein, a portion of carbs, and then also a portion of vegetables, which at the time we didn't realize that vegetables were carbs. But so we understood what he meant. So basically, we would have a carb from under the ground and a carb from above the ground is what we actually end up doing. So that's where we would have maybe a breast of chicken, and then we would have a baked potato, and then we'd also have broccoli. So we actually were doing a portion of protein and 2 portions of carbs. That didn't really matter. The other thing we did was all the fat that we ate, all the meat that we ate, we wanted to have it low fat at the time. That was when everybody was saying, oh, you got to eat low fat, no fat. And again, we've learned so much since then. But so we were eating low fat. We were basically eating chicken. We were eating a ton of chicken. We drink only water. We drink only water or unsweet coffee or unsweet tea. We could no longer do our soda pop. This was huge because I was a Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew fiend. I loved it. I get down a 2-liter bottle. We'd go out to an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, and I'd go to the fountain, and I just keep filling them up and drinking. To think of what I did was I just hate what I was doing to my body back then. However, what we did that, and then we took our before pictures. So you had to take a picture of you from the front, from the back, and from the side, and then just put those away so nobody could see them. And then when it was over, we were supposed to take our after pictures, same from the from the front, from the back, and from the side, and compare it. And this was huge. And so a lot of stuff that we learned and really did help us. And we still do it to this day. And we coach it to this day. But a lot of stuff we don't either. The other thing that we did besides taking our pictures, every single night, we were supposed to sit down, and we did. As soon as we got in bed, we'd pull out our journals. I had one and Teresa had one. My wife had one. We pull out our journals and we say, okay, what are we going to eat tomorrow? And what time are we going to eat this? That way we had everything already prepared. And one day a week, we didn't really do this like we should have. But what we were supposed to do is one day a week, plan out what you're going to eat for the entire week, then go to the store, make sure you have all the stuff for that week. That way, when you write down what you're going to eat every single night, because you have to do it every single night too, because things change, meetings come up, just all kinds of things change. So once a week, we did all the food we're going to eat for the week. And then each night we would plan what we're going to eat the next day. That way we weren't caught off guard, because that's a lot of places where people have issues is they don't plan. So now they haven't eaten, they don't know when they're going to eat. They're at work or wherever. And so they're eating all the crud that's in the vending machines and on break room tables and everything else that's actually causing all of our diseases. And people would eat that because they didn't have a meal planned, or they'd be starved and they get off work and they'd go to the drive-through because they didn't have a meal planned. So planning the meals was huge, and we still believe that's huge, and we still teach that in our courses, that you need to plan your meals a full week, one day a week. Plan the full week meals, have it bought, have everything ready. That way the night before, when you plan your meals, you already know that you have the things that you need. And then we also were told we could do one cheat day a week. Okay, one cheat day a week, meaning for one day a week, as long as you're exercising 6 days a week and you are eating very well, 6 meals a day, 6 times a week, on that seventh day, we don't have to exercise and you could eat anything that you wanted. And this was the time for you to get rid of your cravings. So if there's something that you just absolutely love and you think you're never going to be able to eat that again, this was the day that you could do that. And I'll show you how we go with that, but we modify things up a little bit. But that's what we did. Okay. So 6 meals a day, work out 6 times a week, portion of protein, portion of carbs below the ground, a portion of carbs above the ground, drank only water, unsweet coffee, unsweet tea, took our before after pictures, wrote down every single night what we were going to eat the next before. And then we had a cheat day. Okay. That's what we did. And we were strong on this. So this was a 12-week program. We did 12 weeks of 100%. We got something that was really spelled out for us and said, let's do it. So 100%, we did what we were supposed to do. And when we got done with that 12 weeks, we loved it so much, we did another 12 weeks. The other thing, when we did the 12 weeks, we felt so awesome. And people were asking us, how did you lose the weight? Okay, what are you doing? Because that's what we did. I ended up losing, I don't honestly know. I got down, and I don't remember. I was thinking I got down to 165. My wife thinks I got down to 155. Where I started, I don't know. I did see 199. I did lose the weight. I did gain some muscle as well. The other thing with it is when we did Body for Life, everybody saw what we were doing, and I was so excited. I wanted to get in and I wanted to tell everybody. So people were asking me, what are you doing? What are you eating? How are you do this? So I told them I had several nurses from where I worked were doing it. I had some physicians from where I worked doing it, had a lot of pharmacists from where I worked doing it. However, they weren't seeing quite the results that we did for whatever reason. Some of them did, but some of it was just hard to be eating all the time. And at that time, they said you have to eat all the time to keep your metabolism up. That's what they were telling us at the time. Obviously, now I know that's could be further from the truth. But anyway, what did happen, I lost, I'm not sure how much, 35, 40 pounds in that 24-week period. The other thing that we found out, even though we were eating every 6 meals a day, so every 3 to 4 hours we were eating, I was starving to death, and my wife was starving to death every time before it was time for our next meal. It was like, why am I so tired all the time? But then now I know. Now we start thinking, and this is why when we put our courses together, we wanted to make sure that we gained a lot of stuff that we learned there that helped us, and then we got rid of the stuff that was nonsense that we know now. So why were we eating every 2 to 3 hours? And why were we eating 2 portions of carbs and a protein and we were still losing weight? I didn't understand that. Was it because we were exercising? Is that what it was? That didn't make sense, because usually when you build muscle, that's heavier. And then we started thinking, it's what we did not do. We totally 100% stopped eating all man-made frankenfood within the box, bottle, bag, and can with all the ingredient labels that have all the chemicals that are put in that food. We didn't eat any of that. When we did Body for Life, they taught us stay away from man-made food. You want to eat real fruit, real vegetables, and real protein, okay, real meat. So that's what we did. So that's one thing. We stopped eating man-made food. That had a lot to do with why our weight came off. The other thing, we stopped drinking Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and all these soda pops. We were giving our kids fruit juices thinking fruit juice was healthy because that's what they tell you. Man, start your kids off day healthy. Give them a bowl of oatmeal or some rice and get them a fruit juice to drink and send them off with a power with some protein bar or something. Every single thing that they tell us to do is the absolute wrong thing to do. You never start your day off with carbohydrates if you're even going to start your day off with a meal in the first place. My first meals is usually at 2 o'clock now. But anyway, so it's what we didn't do. We didn't eat all the man-made food. We didn't drink all the soda pop. We really did only drink water, unsweet coffee, and unsweet tea. And I think that had a lot to do with it too. So what did we learn? What did we learn from all this? What I've learned, one, if you're going to start any kind of a weight loss program, you need to record what you're doing. Take pictures, take your before pictures with something that you can, whatever you wear that shows the most skin, take a picture before, take a front picture, a picture from behind, a picture from the side. Nobody else has to see these pictures. They're only for you. But I guarantee it, most of the people that do a program and they lose weight and they love the way they did the program, they felt good all the way through it. When you lose your weight, you are proud of those before pictures because you want to tell everybody else. You will say, look, this is my before picture and this is my after picture. And then you can show them you. That is very motivating to other people. They can see, that, oh, this is somebody I know and they can actually do this. I felt so strongly about this when we found this out that this is why I remember, if you've listened to my podcast, you know that I was a pediatric pharmacist for the first half of my life at the hospital that I worked in. And then I went to supervisor for the last half. That was one of the big key reasons why I moved into the supervisor's position and started working the graveyard shift. Because my wife and I, we loved the fact that we were losing our weight. We felt better and we wanted to teach this to other people. Every time we learn something that is helping us with our health, I can't wait to tell other people. I want to bring other people in on this because I know so many people are sick. So many people are on medication. So many people are obese now. And it really hurts my heart to see this, especially when I know that the answer to all this is so simple and it is not about medications. That's the worst thing you can do. So I actually went in, talked to the director at the time and said, listen, I really feel strongly. I want to start helping people lose weight, get healthy. And my wife and I want to start our own business. So I wanted to move to the graveyard shift so I can have the daytime to work trying to help people get healthy, which was all well and good, except for come to find out our children were still small. They were still in grade school at the time. It was taking way too much time away from them. So we just didn't pursue it. Once we did that, all of a sudden, the weight started coming back, our old habits. I never went back to drinking soda pop. I never did do that. But everything else, we just started eating like crud again. And all of a sudden, my weight started going back up and up all the way until about 5 years ago when I found out about what actual healthy nutrition. This is when I quit just listening to what people said. I kept asking the question, why? Why do you eat that? Why do you not eat that? Why do you drink that? Why do you not drink this? Why? What's going on inside your body? I need to understand exactly. So I didn't go around and tell everybody like we did for Body for Life. It worked for us. I told everybody else that's what they were doing. They were having a hard time doing it for whatever reason. And I wanted to make sure that this time, if they had questions, I didn't just say because that's what the book said. That's because what the book said. Now, when people ask me questions, I can go deep inside the body and tell you exactly chemically why certain nutrients are good and why certain toxins are horrible for your body. So that's one thing that really changed and changed what we did now. So I gained my weight all the way back. And I know I was over 200 pounds this time because I was quite corpulent. And that's when, if most of you heard, that's where I was when I started finding out about proper health. I was asked to give a talk to our pediatric at our annual pediatric conference we put on for the area medical people in the area. We did it once a year, and I've talked at 4 of these. Then I gave a talk on childhood obesity about 5 years ago. And that is when I first went into the nutrition, because I started the talk telling it's like childhood obesity. Okay, I'll talk to them about the food pyramid, eat to the food pyramid. And if you want to lose weight, you got to decrease calories and exercise. And all this information that was a total lie, totally wrong, the worst information I could have ever given anybody. And thankfully, I read this stuff and I learned before I actually gave that talk on childhood obesity. I had to go through and had to rewrite all my slides, got rid of those slides, and came up with a whole nother slide presentation, a whole nother talk with all the new information. And after I gave this talk, before I gave the talk and after the talk, I started learning more and more about nutrition. I started running my own body through it, and it made so much sense. And this time, the weight was coming off. I had more energy than I ever had, and I wasn't hungry at all. I could have gone a whole day and never eaten. I don't. I did do the 1 meal a day for a while, and now I'm doing 2 meals a day because I need to get more protein in, because we do still exercise, although we've learned stuff about that as well. And that's what I'll talk about in just a minute. But there were good things that we learned from it. And then we also learned why, not just what didn't work or why, but exactly why it didn't work. What we've learned, you do want to record your progress. Take before and after pictures. You do want to drink only water, unsweet coffee, unsweet tea. Stay away from fruit juices, soda pops, energy drinks, all that crap that is killing us. You've got to stay away from that. Drink water. Learn to drink water. You can have carbonated water if you want to. They've got all kinds of, they have flavored carbonated waters that don't use sucralose. So get the flavored kind of waters like Waterloo. But do look at the ingredients, because some of them do have sucralose. And again, you want to stay away from having a sweet taste in your mouth, because that just stimulates hunger. And so we've learned, keep the sweet taste out of your mouth and you won't be hungry all the time. So we also learned, and still do, obviously, avoiding all man-made foods, all the flour, the sugar, the seed oils, the high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavoring, artificial coloring, artificial sweeteners, just chemical after chemical that's killing us, causing inflammation, the seed oils that are extremely inflammatory to our bodies. So we still say, yes, that was smart. Avoid that. And I really do. I think that's why why we lost the weight that we did. One, we were exercising a lot, but that doesn't really have anything to do with weight loss. That's more with when you build muscle cells, you actually make cells that not only do they produce energy, so they keep you having energy, but it takes a lot of energy for them to stay healthy. So they eat a lot of energy and they produce a lot of energy. So getting muscle cells is really key. However, you do not start lifting weights until you start getting your energy back, because that's another thing we learned. If you start changing the way you eat, and you also start exercising, if you never exercised before, you will be tired. You will be so tired at first, and there's no reason for it. And I've done podcasts on this, but when you're exercising, all you're doing is taking glucose out of the blood. That's all you're doing. You take the glucose out of the blood, then you take the fat out of the blood, and then you might get into your glucose stores, but you're never going to get into your fat stores unless you're running a marathon, or you're lifting extremely heavy weights for a long period of time. Doesn't happen. Okay. It takes a long time before you ever get fat out of your fat cells. You don't exercise and that draws fat out of fat cells. The only thing that draws fat out of the fat cells is keeping your insulin levels low. The only thing that keeps their insulin levels low is keep glucose out of your blood. The way you keep glucose out of your blood is you quit eating it. It's that simple. It's really that simple. If you quit eating glucose, then your insulin levels aren't going to go up. If your insulin levels don't go up, then they're going to stay down. When they stay down, they cause you to burn your own fat for your energy source. That's how you lose fat. That's how you never run out of energy. That's how you start getting much more healthy, because it'll also burn the fat around your organs. Because most people, if you're obese, if you measure around the abdomen, at the level of your belly button, if you take that measurement and you measure that in inches, and if that distance around your abdomen at the level of your belly button, if that is more than half your height, this is pretty indicative that you are already starting to store fat around your internal organs. So when you keep your insulin levels low, not only is your body burn the fat out of your fat cells, but it's going to be burn the fat out of your organs also. And in fact, it's probably going to do it there first because you don't want fat around your organs. Your body does not want fat around its organs. It knows that's how it gets organ damage. So it's going to clear that first. Then it's going to start clearing the fat around your arms, your legs, your back, your neck, wherever you store your fat. One of the last places it tends to take the fat is from around your abdomen. Okay. Because it's using that fat kind of to protect your organs also. So when you start losing weight, and girls are really bad about this in general. Their arms may be getting tight and looking great. Their legs may be looking great. Everything's looking great. And they just focus right on their midsection. This isn't working. That's not true. It is working. It's just the right around your waist is probably going to be the last place that you start eating the fat from as your body tries to start getting healthy. So please don't just look at your waist and say, oh, this isn't working. Got to be careful with the scales also. There are so many different views out there, but what we're recommending is we want people to weigh every day, not because it's going to do anything, but so you get used to weighing and get used to saying, oh, my weight's up today. Oh, my weight's down today. Oh, my weight's up today. Oh, my weight's up higher. Oh, now my weight's down. Your weight fluctuates every day from all kinds of things. The biggest fluctuation is going to have to do with water. So if you eat anything that has a lot of salt in it or anything like that the day before and you're drinking water, then it's very possible that you may be a little bit more puffy and weigh a little bit more the next day. Okay. That doesn't mean you're fat. That doesn't mean anything. It's just water changing, switching around. So don't worry about that. When you know what you're doing, just keep on doing it. But so we knew that. Planning your meals in advance, another extremely important thing you need to do. We highly recommend taking it and just like I said, plan out exactly what you're going to eat for the entire next week. Go to the store, get all the stuff you need for it, and then each night plan what you're going to eat or each day, whatever works for you. Plan what you're going to eat the next day. And that way, if you have to prepare it, it's prepared or whatever. So when you wake up, you're good to go. You're ready to go. That's the other thing is allowing the crave meal. When we had our crave meals, when we did Body for Life, we went stupid. We would have a Chinese buffet for an early lunch, and then we'd have a pizza buffet for dinner or something else like that. And we were eating constantly. That was not good. Okay. And that just made us feel sick. We ate till we got sick, not vomiting sick, but we did not feel good. And then we made it to where we really didn't want to work out the next day. We still did, but it was not as good a workout. Okay. So what we decided, I did like the idea of you don't have to say, no, I can never have this again, because that puts a lot of stress in people's minds that if they really like something, they can never have it again. That one thing could be enough to blow your whole improved health journey. So instead of saying you get a cheat day, we call it a crave meal. So if you're having cravings through the week, you can have one crave meal a week. Because if you're doing good the whole time and they're just one meal, really, you could say 1 hour. You can eat anything you want for 1 hour out of the week. Then you can take care of whatever meal you want, whatever dessert you want, whatever that is. But stop after that one thing, that one crave meal. If you go further, it can do damage to what you've already been doing, and it can also make you where you don't feel as good the next day as well. So what do we know now that we didn't know then? Now we know that this is not about calories. You do not lose weight because you burn off more calories than you take in. That is a marketing ploy from the food company. It makes no sense whatsoever. We are not a machine like that. That's not how it works. If you know anything about the body, you realize that is a ridiculous thing to say. What happens is when your insulin levels are low, you burn fat out of your fat cells. When they're high, you stuff fat in your fat cells. So the key is keep your insulin levels low. When you keep your insulin high, it goes against you. How do you keep your insulin levels high? You eat glucose. Glucose is the basic building block of carbohydrates, which is crazy that we were able to have those two portions of carbs, even though one was above the ground, that's fine, but one was below the ground. So we were eating all these carbs, but we were still losing weight. And again, the reason why was because we would just have a small amount. It'd be a amount of the size of my palm. And we were not eating all the man-made junk that they're killing us with. So that's why the weight was coming off. So the key to losing weight is keep your insulin levels low. Key to keeping your insulin levels low is keep glucose out of your blood. The key to keeping glucose out of your blood is keep glucose out of your mouth. And that comes from all man-made products and also from fruits and vegetables. So again, vegetables that grow below the ground have more glucose than the ones that grow above the ground. So if you have a lot of weight to lose, stick to the plants that grow above the ground. The other thing we learned is you do not eat all throughout the day. That does not keep your metabolism up. Your body, your metabolism has to do with thermogenesis. It has to do with the production of heat. And our bodies can increase or decrease our metabolism on its own up and down by 30%. It does it on its own. You're not going to sit there just by eating that. How that increases metabolism doesn't even make any sense. So that's not what you're doing. What you're trying to do is keep your insulin levels low. So when you eat all throughout the day, you're constantly keeping your insulin levels high. That goes against what you want to do. And that's why I gained all my weight back when we stopped Body for Life. You're keeping your insulin levels high, and that's what you don't want to do. So that's why now we are very much for either time restricted eating. Some people can do it with just one meal a day called OMAD, 1 meal a day. Some people can do it 2 meals a day, some with 3 meals a day. But still, if you can eat all that in a short 6 to 8 hour time period, you leave all the rest of the time that you're only drinking plain water, unsweet coffee, unsweet tea. But the key is you're keeping your insulin levels low for the whole rest of the time. So you just have a small window that you're actually keeping your insulin levels high. Now it depends as far as within that window, what kind of food do you eat? Because if you can stay away from carbohydrates, especially man-made food, then you're still going to be able to keep your insulin levels low because protein can raise your glucose a little bit, raise your insulin just a tiny bit. It's not big, and fat doesn't do it at all. So if you can just stick to maybe 2 meals at the beginning of your window and at the end of the window and don't eat anything in between, it can keep the high glucose carbohydrates like potatoes and things that grow underneath the ground, keep those out of there, and you'll be able to keep your insulin levels lower. The longer your insulin levels low, the more fat that you can eat out of your fat cells. That's why you don't get tired when you do it this way. People have so much energy when they actually start losing weight the right way because you're giving your body the nutrients that it needs. As far as exercise, yes, we exercised. Okay. However, we were absolutely wiped out all the time. Now I know exercise is not what burns fat out of your fat cells. It can't. You will never get to the fat in your fat cells because you have too much glucose in your blood. You have fat in your blood, and then you also have glucose stores. Not very much because it's only supposed to be there for your fight or flight energy, but there is some there. So what happens is when you start working out, when you start eating healthy and you start burning the fat out of your fat cells, and so you constantly have food, you're giving your body all the energy it needs, you're eating clean, healthy, God-made food, real meat, real fruit, real vegetables. You're eating that. So you're actually giving your body the nutrients that it needs. Okay. You're not eating all this man-made food that have no nutrients in it. So you give your body the nutrients that it needs. You burn the fat out of your fat cells for your energy. You're eating protein so you don't lose your muscle mass. You actually can gain muscle mass while you're doing this. You feel great. When you start losing weight and and I know this, I hear this all the time. People have so much more energy. That's when you start working out. If you've never worked out before, do not start working out before you start losing your weight. If you are wiped out every time you worked out, you are not ready. So work on nutrition. All you got to do is think about what you're putting in your mouth. That's all you need to think about. So long as you keep glucose out of your mouth, you're going to keep your insulin levels down and you will be burning the fat out of your fat cells and you will have energy. Once you start feeling great that way, now you can start in. Now, when I talk about exercise, I mainly talk about resistance training, lifting heavy things. Cardio, if you're doing anything that raises your breathing rate, raises your heart rate, that's going to be a cardio. Cardio just means you're making the heart beat faster, harder. So that's good exercise for the heart. However, you don't have to go run marathons to do that. Cardio, some people can just do cardio just by having a nice walk, just walk down the sidewalk and back. So walking is very important. That is not actually exercise. That is just healthy living. You have to walk. And I've already done a podcast on this, but walking does so many good things for your body. It helps with your lower body strength, helps with balance, helps with coordination. But the big thing is it pumps lymphatic fluid out of your body. And that's what contains all the toxins of all the chemical processes in your body. If you don't walk, the lymphatic system does not get pumped and you keep the toxins in there. When you walk, those muscles contract and then you can clear that out and you'll feel better. So that's why people who are obese that just sit around and they don't walk very much, their legs swell, they get all this edema going, they feel horrible. And the worse they feel, the less they want to move. So you've got to break that. You've got to get up and walk. How much is up to you? Just whatever you start with, see if you can improve it slowly each day or each week or whatever. Just keep walking a little bit more, a little bit more. And I guarantee you're going to feel great when you do that. So that's why we don't focus on the weight. We focus on fat loss. And people who do these starvation diets and take medication to lose weight, like everybody's doing now, that is horrible way to lose weight. What that is doing is you just aren't eating. You're giving your body no nutrients. So it's not getting the vitamins, it's not getting the minerals, it's not getting the protein, and it's not getting the fat. So what does your body do since you're not eating because you're taking a drug to make it where you're not hungry, besides killing your intestines and everything else in your body and causing cancer? The other thing it does is your body needs energy. If you're not eating it, it's going to take it from your fat cells, which is good. So that's why people are losing fat when they do these starvation diets and medication diets, which are also starvation diets. They do lose the fat. However, they're also not eating protein. So they're losing their muscle because the body needs protein. Our bodies are made out of protein. So it's going to get it from the muscles, because you can go without your arms and legs and your body, you're still going to live. Your organs and your brain is what needs it. And it will take it from your brain, from your muscles, in order to get the protein you need. So when you starve yourself, you're getting no fat, no protein, no vitamins, no minerals. And now all of a sudden your body's eating itself from the inside. It's auto cannibalism. You're eating yourself away from the inside, and everybody's so happy because they've lost weight. That's why it's not about weight loss. It's about fat loss and maintaining muscle. You have to have muscle, especially as you get older in life. I'm 63 years old. You need muscle. Muscle is going to be so helpful in keeping you healthy as you go through life. So there is a huge difference between weight loss and fat loss. We want to go with the fat loss and not the weight loss, because you've got to keep your vitamins, minerals, and your protein just as well. So what I'm saying right now is it's not about calories. It's not calories in, calories out. It's the calorie source. If you use glucose for your calorie source, you are going to become obese. If you use fat for your energy source, you will start to become thinner and be a lot more healthy. It's not about exercise. Exercise is great. I firmly believe it. My wife and I both lift weights. However, if you're not used to exercising, this is not the time to do it. Clean out your cabinets. That'd be first thing. If you really want to lose weight, go through and clean out of your cabinets. When you're eating healthy, almost every single thing you put in your mouth is going to be coming from the refrigerator and not from the cabinets. There may be some stuff in the cabinets. Maybe if you can find some healthy beef sticks or some healthy beef jerky, or maybe make some protein balls or whatever. There's things that you can have, but most of your foods are going to be coming out of the refrigerator. So I highly recommend clean out your cabinets. Anything that has a label on it, anything that has sugar, high fructose corn syrup, anything that has seed oils, anything that has maltodextrin, anything that has artificial flavoring, artificial coloring, artificial sweeteners, throw all of that. Maltodextrin, yeah, throw all that stuff out. It is toxic. People are snacking on everything in a bag, bottle, box, can. They snack on this stuff all day long. They keep their insulin levels up all day long. They keep stuffing fat all day long. And then they wonder why they end up on all these medications and obese. So you do not eat all the way through the day. 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day. You can do what you want, but I highly recommend doing it in a small 6 to 8 hour window. And as your body gets used to it, as you start burning more and more fat and you start to have more energy, you can start narrowing that window on down. Like I said, my window is from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I've got a 4 hour window, and that's pretty much when I eat every day. Now I went for an entire year. I went 9 months and I could not exercise because I was having issues with my right arm, but I still ate the same way. And after that 9 months was up and my arm started feeling better again, I got all the feeling back in my arm, I could start working out, but I never gained weight. Even for the 9 months, even though I wasn't working out, my weight did not change. Right now, I'm 165. Okay. So there's things we've learned, there's things that we want to teach, and that's how we built our digital courses too. Is through the things we've learned from our own experiences and from all the stuff that I've learned. I hope this helped you guys in some way that maybe you might relate to it a little bit and see if there's anything that you might want to change of things that you're doing. Thank you for listening. And as always, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.